Gender pay gap in South Africa goes some way in explaining why women are not prepared for retirement when it comes around. I want to give you the background. An Ipsos survey shows that 32% of women feel vague and unsure about their retirement plan. It is a disturbing report, and joining us now, ENCA business reporter Heidi Giokos. Heidi, good afternoon to you. So let's explore that pay gap between men and women more broadly, both in South Africa and also perhaps internationally in comparison.
Okay, so Jeremy, if I can just paint a picture for you, the gap is not closing, it's actually widening. The World Economic Forum released a report last year stating that it's going to take about a century for this gap to narrow and to close. We see that for every 55 Rand a woman earns, her male counterpart earns about 100 Rand. So that is double. We see that women earn about 23% to 27% less than men in this country. We also see that Iceland has ranked #1 in terms of gender pay equality. So South Africa has dropped by 4 points, by four positions.
So what is Iceland doing that we're not doing in this country in order to address that gap?
Yes, so Iceland has made it mandatory for men and women to be paid the same amount for the same job. So they've passed legislation.
In other words, face the law if you don't get this one right.
100%. So they even have to present, documents and facts showing how much people are paid to make sure that there is equality and that gap is, there is no gap, that people get paid what they need to get paid for the same job that they do, whether you're male or female. So they've made that gap non-existent in Iceland. That's why they ranked #1 by the World Economic Forum.
And I wonder, when all of this is put to corporate South Africa, do they have an excuse?
Well, I think, it's a very sensitive topic at the moment. I think, people are trying to establish why, we aren't paid the same, why men and women aren't paid the same for the same job. But, reports keep coming out showing that this gap is just widening. People can't plan for their retirement. For example, women can't plan for their retirement because they just don't earn enough to plan for their retirement. And this report that was released by 10X investment firm says that about 32% of women in this country feel unsure about their retirement. They don't know what's going to happen when they need to retire, whereas men, only 22% of men feel that way. So,
and if you have 32%, that is a third of females in the workforce who are concerned about this, who are unsure about their short and long-term futures, I am assuming, and I don't know whether this is quantified or not, but it would have a dire effect on productivity.
Definitely, it definitely has an effect on productivity. Also, women tend to get more jobs to try and live from day to day, and we see that women have to work twice as hard. There was actually an article that was released that said that women, the amount of work that they do, it's like having 3 jobs in one. So women have to work extra hard in order to try and get the same amount and, plan for their retirement.
So who's fighting for women on this one?
Lots of people are fighting for women. I think, it's a topic that a lot of people don't want to address, but a lot of people have come out and said this is completely unacceptable. And we're seeing a lot of that happening on the international front. We've seen, co-stars, award-winning actresses coming out and saying, I'm a lead actress, but I am not being paid the same as my co-star who's a male. We see journalists coming out and saying that, I do the same job, but my male counterpart gets more. So people are coming out and saying that something needs to be done about this. This needs to be addressed, because if it's the same amount of work, same qualifications, why should I get paid less to my male counterpart?
There certainly is a growing sense of anger in that respect. Heidi Giokos, business reporter, thank you very much indeed. Now